Hello everyone, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another episode reaction to Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. This is right, my name is Matt, hello. Okay, so last time on Buffy, we had a pretty good episode. Spike showed up again. I'm not sure if he's gonna stick around, but he showed up at least once. We gained an immortal ring that then was transferred to Angel, and then if you watch Angel, which I did, Angel just he destroyed it at the end, but it was a fun episode. I really like Angel season 1 episode 3. It was pretty good. Yeah, he just destroyed the ring. Wow. If you never watched Angel, you're just a Buffy watcher alone, know that the ring was a major plot point for that episode of Angel, and then at the end of the episode he just destroyed it. So there you go. That's what happened to the ring. There's no invincible vampires around anymore that we know of. Last week's episode, it was a pretty heavy episode in terms of like relationships. For Buffy trusting someone that she shouldn't have, someone that was manipulative. We got to see Xander have a weird relationship with Anya, and we also got to see Harmony, which is a character I never thought would show up again, and also she's a vampire, and also she's dating Spike, and also it's an abusive relationship. A lot to take in with Harmony. Yeah, that happened last week, and it was very interesting. I liked that. And I have no idea where we're gonna go now, but it's an interesting episode for relationships, and I wonder how much of that is gonna carry over. You know, maybe Buffy's insecurity will carry over. I think the Anya storyline is definitely gonna carry over, and I am excited to see where that goes because I really like Anya. Like, dead ass, literally, my favorite character in the show right now is Anya. That's not even a joke. I don't know how people feel about Anya, but I really like. I've said this before. I really like a character that feels alien, that she doesn't understand any of this human shit, and also she's like desperate for human connection because she feels it, but she doesn't know what to do with that. I'm a big fan of that, actually. Some of my favorite characters of all time have like that specific like combination of things. So I really like Anya in that aspect, and I'm excited to see where she goes. I hope they don't ruin her, which is very much always a concern that's on the table, but we'll see where that goes. And when I mean ruin her, I don't mean make her unhappy. She could be incredibly unhappy, but as long as it's a satisfactory ending to like a character arc or something, that it would be interesting to see. And Harmony, I have no fucking clue what Harmony is doing here, but I feel like maybe she's gonna stay. Like maybe she's just gonna stay in the show. She's gonna show up again a couple times. And maybe she's gonna be a character that we follow, which is interesting to me because I said this last week, but now we're entering this weird era where like you can have vampires that are like friendly or like helpful, and that's beyond Angel, which is, again, I said this before, that makes the situation like a lot muddier because the point with Angel is that he's the only human vampire because it's the only one that has a soul. But then whenever we start seeing characters like Spike and Drusilla and Harmony, you start to feel like, but these guys actually do care about things. It's not that they don't care, they're just inherently evil. It's like, no, they care about stuff. Harmony cares about like being in a relationship and her lover or whatever, and then she feels sad that didn't work out and she was abused, and it's like, this is like way too human for you to just be a monster allegedly. So I'm sitting here like, well, that's really interesting. I think this is the most interesting thing to do with vampires, so I'm not against it. I'm all for it, but the whole time I'm sitting here thinking like, that makes the Angel situation more weird because it makes Angel less special. Alright, anyway, that's besides the point. We're just gonna watch the episode now. So yeah, Patreon, check out the Patreon, link in the description below, pop up on screen somewhere around here. You can support the channel and watch the next 2 episode reactions to Buffy, as well as some Angel watch-alongs I'm doing. They're not really reviews or full reactions or anything. It's just like I turn on the episode and I'm just like watching as it happens. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that for the entire show. Let me just say right here, because I don't know if I've said that before, but I'm gonna do it for as much as I can. But don't worry, I've said this before. Let me reiterate it. I'm gonna react to all of the Angel episodes that like really matter, that people want me to watch. Which I'm guessing are going to be like crossover episodes and stuff. I didn't do it for episode 3. I thought about it, but I decided not to because I decided to do episode 10 instead, which when I said 3, people told me do 10 instead. So that's what I'm doing. And I could do both, but then I'm like, I'm adding way too many Angel episodes to the schedule, and every Angel episode I add to the schedule is gonna delay Buffy episodes another week. So I have 7 Angel episodes for season 1. If I do more than that, it's just gonna start feeling like a lot, man. What I'm trying to do is try to find some sort of balance that everyone can be at least somewhat happy or content with, because there's a lot of Buffy viewers that would not like to just have to wait 2 months before they get to the place that they would have gotten there in like 2 weeks, because I keep doing Angel instead of just moving forward with Buffy. So yeah, that's the whole reasoning behind the weird schedule with Angel. But I'm gonna be doing videos and reacting to the important episodes, and every other episode that's like not like a banger that people want to watch. Then those I'm just gonna do it on my own time. Okay, cool. Okay, we're clear. Good. All right, Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4 episode 4. Let's go.
Just thinking about the life of a pumpkin. Grow up in the sun, happily entwined with others. Then someone comes along, cuts you open, and rips your guts out.
Halloween episode again?
A scary house? Sounds kind of lame.
What actually borders on fun? You have to go through the whole scary house maze to get to the party, which is usually worth getting to. Those guys go all out.
I'm sleepy. You guys have fun.
You want me to come with?
No, I'm fine.
She didn't even touch her pumpkin. It's a freak with no face.
Does anyone else want to smack that guy? Jeez, that hurt.
Oh,
What the hell's wrong with you, lady?
I mean,
That's what I'd like to know.
oh goddammit, she's very insecure. But also, what are you expecting, man? I understand that, you know, in his head, he doesn't think that monsters are real, even though you live in fucking Sunnydale. So he's just like, why would that lady punch me? Because you're scared her, right? Like, fight or flight is a response. That means that there is a 50% chance you're gonna get smacked. And the only reason why I said that is because Buffy needs to be insecure this episode. That's the whole thing.
What's the next level?
Transmutation, conjuring.
Turning Amy back into a human? Are we just gonna ignore Amy for the rest of time?
You know what it's like to have power you can't control. And every time I start to wolf out, I touch something. It's not fun. Whatever you decide, I'll back your play.
Concerned boy, sweet boy.
He's right there talking to other girls. Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with this right now. Happily vacationing in the land of not coping.
No, wait, you'll feel better at the party tonight. Maybe you'll even meet someone.
Willow, I don't want to meet someone.
Yeah.
I've reached my quota on someone's.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's gonna think I should be on active Slayer duty. Doesn't care about Halloween.
Nothing good happens on Halloween. That's fun.
My God.
I mean, you should have said it in Spanish though.
You hate
Like some
Halloween.
maracas and shit.
I've never
I
said
mean,
such thing.
he's a home guy now. He's giving kids candy
Well,
and
to
shit.
embrace its inherent charms. Look.
Yeah.
It's alive!
Oh, that's great.
See how you... Shakes. Creatures of the night shy away from Halloween. They find it all much too crass.
Hard to believe.
Check this out.
Oh, they're gonna summon a demon or some shit. Cool. Spider warning for episode 4 of the next season. Oh, fuck my life. Back to Annie.
I only said that because I thought that's what you wanted to hear.
I tend to hear the actual words people say and accept them at face value.
That's stupid.
I accept that. I can't say seeing you falls into the realm of a bad thing.
I thought maybe we could go out tonight for our anniversary. It's been exactly 1 week since we copulated. Did you forget?
Sure.
No, of course not. I already have plans with Buffy, Willow, and Oz.
It's those people. I mean, you continue to associate with them, though you share little in common. They go to college, you don't. They no longer live at home. You do.
The bonds of true friendships transcends... Could we just change the subject?
Ah, this is fun. He's insecure about where he fits.
You can come with me tonight to this party.
Are we dating?
There are definitely date-like qualities at work here. You'll need a costume.
A costume?
You know, something scary.
Scary how?
I'm sure you'll come up with something.
She's gonna completely miss the point somehow.
You've got problems, solve them on your own time. Miss another class and you're out.
She means
Oh,
it,
it's this guy from the first episode.
Things get pretty intense freshman year, as I dimly recall.
Thanks. I'll get this done tonight.
It's Halloween. Well, you're not going to dress up and go party?
I have a lot of work to do.
Seem like the kind of person who makes things really hard on themselves. Halloween isn't a night for responsibility. It's when the ghosts and goblins come out.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Well, I am going to sit here and grade papers.
Scary.
Very.
Thanks for the pep talk, coach.
Don't make fun. I work long and hard to get this pompous.
No, I mean it.
Alright. You're a character we have to keep track of somewhat.
Well, that's an interesting little design.
We
What
found
does
it in the school book.
Clue. I got out of this book. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there about.
Ooh, grapes.
Oh my god!
Us?
Cut himself.
Cut myself.
Oh, he's gonna drop blood in the circle and
Playing with
something's gonna
knives?
happen.
Fun. Yes, not safe.
Oh
When you
god.
bleed to death, I get.
Oh, a spider. Yes, I'm not looking. I'm dead ass just not looking. So, I'm gonna unfull screen the episode and I'm gonna watch it in a tiny window. Because officially, this is a concerning episode for me now. I dead ass don't know what the fuck the spider did. I just covered it. I'm not wanna watch it.
Oh, your father loved to take you out. He just wanted to keep you safe.
No, he wanted the candy.
Oh, that's not true, actually. The candy was for me. Your father loved spending time with you.
Not enough, I guess. Open your heart to someone and he bails on you. Maybe it's easier to just not let anyone in.
Okay.
You must have noticed that I'm not exactly the social butterfly that I was when I was with your dad. I don't think I made a single new friend the year we moved to Sunnydale. I didn't believe I could trust anyone again. It's taken time and a lot of effort, but I've got a nice circle of friends now. It certainly didn't help that my last boyfriend turned out to be a homicidal robot.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that anymore.
And you've got Mr. Giles and your friends. Believe me, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Eyeballs, Rachel. They're eyeballs.
They are real eyeballs. Things are turning into the real things that you see. Are they gonna turn into
Like
the
the
costumes
Tuck
again if they touch the circle?
I'm Joan of Arc. I figured we had
Joan
a
of
lot
Arc.
in common, seeing as how I was almost burned at the stake, and plus she had that close relationship with God.
And you
Yeah,
are?
told her to wear clothes as a man. Oh, he's God.
course.
Cool. That's the joke.
Last
What if
one.
Oz becomes God? Oh my god. Hi.
Nice costumes.
Invited Anya to join us, but she's having some trouble finding a scary costume, so she's just gonna meet us there.
You're not a third wheel.
Well, technically speaking, you're a fifth wheel.
Yeah, what's going on here? Are people turning into the costumes again? Like, when they touch the circle, it becomes real. What are they running from? Like, sure, there's like spiders and eyeballs, but what is going on beyond that? Oh, right, it's a scary house. So everything in the scary house is probably real then. All of the, like, ghosts that come out and shit. Is he dead? Is he getting possessed? What?
If I were Abbott and Costello, this would be fairly traumatic.
There should be a man here, but he's not there, so that means the body moved.
Cobweb! Okay, that part was realistic.
That's pretty real.
I wasn't scared.
I'm not seeing, not looking. Yeah, oh, I got it. I got it. Yeah, this is better. When I put my hair down, I can barely see, but I can see enough to follow what's going on. But I don't get to see details, which is good for me because I want to see spiders. But it's bad for you because I am doing a reaction video and you cannot see my face.
It's made of rubber.
What the hell is going on here?
We have another freaky Halloween. Is that Anya? Is she afraid of bunnies? Is that a personal fear of hers? This is great. I love her.
Xander.
Oh, now she's worried about sand. Oh, that's cool.
Didn't know. Sorry.
Chess.
What is it?
It's alive.
Oh, they saw
It's
something
alive.
come out. I mean, the skeleton with the knife would come alive. I was wondering why it wasn't. Oh, that looks cool.
Chaz, what happened here?
Oh! Did it stab Buffy in the back?
Cowering in a closet is starting to seem like a reasonable plan.
The closet's
What
gone.
closet?
Yep.
We need the only person that can make sense of what's happening.
The man in the sombrero. But like, they can't go outside, can they? Maybe this is Anya.
Xander's in trouble. You've got to do something right now. Xander's trapped.
Where's Buffy and the others?
Oh, they're trapped too, but we've got to save Xander.
I wouldn't worry about Xander. At least he's amongst friends.
Will, I'm telling you.
Telling me you're telling me?
I can't do my
They're fighting each other.
You're
Why
as
are...
lost as the rest of us.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, like...
It's a simple incantation, a guiding spell for travelers when they become lost or disoriented.
Let's be realistic here, okay? Your basic spells are usually only about 50-50.
Oh, yeah? Well, so's your face.
What?
I'm not your sidekick.
I'm sure part of it's because of how you've been pushing away girl lately. But now's not the time to let that stuff tear us apart. I'm right with you, right by your side.
He's gonna disappear or
Xander?
something.
Xander, where did you go?
He actually
Buffy, knock it
disappeared.
off. This gets over. I'm right here.
This is so typical of him.
Typical.
Oh, that's interesting. What's going on with him or with her? Did it disappear? Did it become ghosts? Is it a perception thing? No fucking clue. What are we gonna do here?
This floor used to have windows.
Yep. They're finally noticing the reality distortion. Something's happening. He's turning into a werewolf. Is what they fear the most happening? Oh, that's bad.
I have to get away.
That's really bad.
Do the guiding spell. I know I can make it work. No.
No!
Oz, don't leave me! Don't leave me! Don't leave me! Don't leave me!
Just gotta live with the fact that no one else can see me.
I think people's worst fears are becoming a reality. The eyeballs that the girl was touching weren't eyeballs until she looked at them. Oh no, he's really afraid of changing, so he's gonna change. Xander is afraid of being invisible to people, so he is invisible to people. So what would be Buffy's? After last episode, what would be Willow's?
Aurelia, goddess of the lost.
Failing?
Hey, I did it. I did you. Hi. Lead me to Oz. I should try to find the people trapped upstairs first.
Okay.
Even if I get them, we still have to find a way out of the house.
She doesn't know which one it is. Not even that. This is not a guiding light. What's here?
I must be in the basement.
All alone. They all ran away from you. They always will.
Yeah.
Open your heart to someone but don't fret, little girl. You're not alone.
So, why are these things coming out of the ground? I like how Haarute is panicking.
We're gonna have to create a door.
Create a door, you can do that?
Well,
Can.
yeah, exactly.
No matter how hard you fight, you just end up in the same place. I don't see why you bother.
It really does sound like, you know, your mind talking to you about the things that you're afraid of.
Come upstairs. Us?
Get him off me! Get him off me! Get him off!
Oh!
Get him off!
It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. I'd offer my opinion, but you jerks aren't gonna hear it anyway. Not that didn't go to
I
college
see.
boys or anything important to say.
What is wrong with you?
You heard that? You can see me? Good. Oh God, good.
We all got so scared that we ended up here.
And what's here?
I think it's Gaelic.
Can you translate?
Mark of Gacnar. I think this is a summoning spell. It feeds on fear.
Yeah.
Our fears are manifesting. We're feeding it. We need to stop.
This is very scary.
Giles? Hey everyone, it's Giles with a chainsaw. Glad you can.
Oh.
This is Gagnar.
I don't want to fight that.
Looks like a Silent Hill monster.
Summoning spell for Gagnar can be shut down in one of two ways. Destroying the mark of Gagnar.
What is the other one?
Is not one of them, and will in fact immediately bring forth the fear demon itself.
Ah, why would you say that? Oh my god. That's just stupid. Okay, let's go. We're gonna fight it, I guess. And it's just a dude in a costume. We can fight then. It does have a bunch of spikes, which... Oh, it's... Oh, funny.
I am the Dark
Just step on it. Just pop. That's the joke.
bringer of terror.
Who's a little fear demon?
Don't taunt
bring the
the fear demon.
Why, can he hurt me?
No, it's just tacky.
They're all going to abandon you, you know. Yeah.
I mean, that's just funny. Just step on it. Yep. Alright, let's eat some candy. I like that episode, though. So.
That's your scary costume.
Inscription under the illustration of Gagnar.
What's it say?
Actual size.
Okay. actual size. It's literally just as it was in the book. You know, I don't think I've ever said this, but it's happened a couple of times now, where I think that it's cool that Buffy has this ability to just make me feel like something important might happen on episodes when actually it's just a joke and nothing matters. Because like 3/4 through that episode, I was thinking like, you know, something really bad might happen, you know, like, because realistically we could like lose Oz, for example. I can see that we could lose Anya or whatever. I don't think we're losing anyone of the first like original trio, but we could lose Oz, we could lose Anya, and it could be something that would be a storyline to keep going for more than one episode, just a few episodes, you know. Like for example, if we lost Anya, Sander might feel like that was like someone that actually did really give a shit about me, you know, because that's his insecurity. So it's someone that actively wanted to help him, save him. It's almost like he didn't get to experience that a lot before he lost her, so he never really knew what could have been, you know? If we lost Oz, it could be this thing where like Willow might blame herself for fighting Buffy and focusing on like, you know, I can do this, instead of worrying about what is the benefit for everybody, you know, her ego instead of just what would be the best for the survival of the entire group. Same will apply to Buffy. Like there's a lot of different ways you can actually make this work narratively and have a good impact. So when I was watching this episode, I was starting to feel like that could happen. And it was also the way it was directed, it was the way it was scored. It really felt like this is a serious episode, you know? Everything is scary, and it's fun because that's kind of where the episode is coming from. It's a scary episode. That's what they're trying to do here. Fear is like the whole thing. But like the moment that like Giles says, there are 2 ways to stop the summoning. Destroying the summoning circle, and then Buffy just punches it. And then he goes, is not one of them, and in fact will summon him immediately. I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, that's so stupid that there's no way that this episode actually has any lasting consequences. This is a funny episode. The moment that happened, I'm like, okay, this is a funny episode. It doesn't matter anymore. And then 30 seconds later, you see a tiny demon, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is what we're doing today. I have some complaints about the show sometimes whenever they have wildly contrasting tones that like sometimes just ruin scenes, I think, or some storylines. But I think in this case, for something like this episode, it was actually pretty good. It was pretty good to actually give you a lot of real serious things. You're concerned, you're afraid. There are spiders in the episode. Man, I thought we would see more spiders than we actually did see. They only showed up for 2 very tiny scenes, like literally just a few seconds. I didn't see any of those scenes, and in fact, it caused me to watch the episode in windowed form for like half of it, just entirely on the fear that maybe they will reappear. So that's something I never appreciate, but sure, that's a me problem. But yeah, fear and the seriousness and what could happen was a big thing about this episode. So then whenever the joke ending reveals itself, you're like, okay, sure. I think it's better to do it this way, because the alternative way would be to have a funny episode for like 90% of it, and then it turns real serious at the end, like the final like 3 minutes. I don't think that would work as well. And in fact, I think there's some examples where that just doesn't work as well. But I think this version is probably the best one. I like that one. But yeah, okay. Let's talk about... Because this episode was wildly about kind of where everyone is at as characters and in their relationships, honestly. And you know, we talked about that a little bit last week, which I liked. But this episode was really about that, which is why to give you a recap about it. The only one I feel like was maybe a little bit out of place was Willow. Like, it never feels like Willow is anything but incredibly supportive. And now that Buffy's dealing with a lot, and suddenly Buffy and Willow are fighting, actively fighting on screen, and they just decide to go their separate ways in a situation where everybody should stick together more than anything. Like, that to me feels like maybe a little bit forced. And I think it's mostly because they want to like give Willow's character something so we can play with the fear that she might have, but they don't really have anything for her because the reality is that I don't think we give a lot to Willow, or we haven't in the recent time. Like, for example, Sander is something that like makes sense. I talked about Sander's character like last week extensively actually. And with Sander, there's a lot in the background that you can grab and do something with. So the fact that his fear manifested here in a way where like he sees himself as invisible, and in a way he also starts being like a little bit resentful over everybody just not paying him attention or something. So like that's something that kind of tracks. Oz just doesn't want to hurt people around him by him turning into a beast and just killing people. He doesn't want to do that. That's like his giant fear. Willow's fear is that she's not capable. I suppose like she feels like, no, I'm good enough. And then she wants to do her conjuring spell and it backfires and she just starts screaming for help. And it backfires because her fear is that she's gonna fuck up. And then she does fuck up. And it's like, I feel like that the whole argument between Buffy and Willow happened entirely because we needed to like have that come forth. Buffy's fear, which is, I guess, the reason why she needed to be alone, was that her fear is her fear of continuing to get hurt by others, which is, it's fun. I do like that concept. I've been a big fan of that concept ever since I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion when I was 13. It's a fun concept. It's called the Hedgehog's Dilemma. In case you never watched Evangelion and you probably don't know what it is, the Hedgehog's Dilemma is a metaphor about the challenges of human intimacy. It describes a situation in which a group of hedgehogs seeks to move close to one another to share heat during the cold weather. They must remain apart, however, as they cannot avoid hurting one another with their sharp spines. Though they all share the intention of a close reciprocal relationship, this may not occur for reasons they cannot avoid. I really like that metaphor. It's a really cool metaphor, and I've been a big fan of it and what it implies about human connection. And I feel like the older I get, the more I return to that metaphor and that whole dilemma, and it's really cool. I really enjoy it. So I really enjoyed it having be a part of this episode, even though it wasn't like fully explored, but it is something that is present with Buffy at the moment, you know? She even talks about it with Joyce. It is interesting because you feel like this is just an inherently you problem. You feel like, you know, I'm done with people. You know, people hurt me, so maybe it's better if I don't get close to people anymore so I don't get hurt anymore. But it is a dilemma because you have to, right? You have to. Humans are inherently social creatures, and you might think to yourself that, like, I don't need anyone, I'm fine on my own. That's not true. That's just not true. And sure, you cannot look at someone that you don't know and be like, well, clearly you're wrong. But I think that humans are inherently social. You, on some level, need to get close to people in order to even find a semblance of happiness in your life. And maybe you don't need a lot of people in your life. Maybe you don't need a lot of super intimate relationships in your life. Maybe you're someone more casual. But like, on some level, you do have to form a connection. On some level, that's something that you're going to need in your life. And that's something that Buffy's starting to struggle now, because she's starting to feel like she cannot have that. That is a direct result of her feeling betrayed by what happened with Parker last week. And, like, this makes sense. More than anything, this makes sense. Because I think this is a very teenage, young adult problem to have. Right? I think this is one of those things where, like, you might have some kind of relationship or some kind of event happen in your life where you're gonna start feeling like, if I get close to people, they're gonna hurt me or I am going to hurt them. And whichever direction it goes, it kind of doesn't matter. What matters is that you feel bad about it. You don't want to hurt people and you don't want them to hurt you. So you don't want to get too close to people. But the thing is that at the same time, the more you try to say that you don't want to do that, the more you're gonna start to feel like, but I want to. Like, it's start gonna waiting on you how much you actually do want to get close to people. And eventually you're gonna do it again. And eventually maybe you're gonna get hurt again. Like, and that's something you can't really avoid. And that's the whole crux of this problem, is that you're gonna get hurt again, one direction or another, because humans are inherently flawed as well. And I think the solution that maybe you eventually end up getting to, it's not really a solution, it's just eventually you have to think that the positives that you may gain from human connection outweigh the negatives that you may feel from forming those connections and then losing them. It might hurt a lot when things are over, but ultimately, maybe you're gonna be glad that you had the experience to begin with. I think that's really all we can say. I mean, in the situation Buffy's in right now with like Parker or whatever, it's better if she had never had that experience at all, maybe. But maybe not. Maybe in the future, she's not gonna get burned as easily because she's able to learn from this specific experience. And she's not gonna blame herself for shit like she did last week and this week a little bit, you know? Because Parker really put into her the idea that you are doing things wrong, failing to understand that this was never a thing when it very clearly was him manipulating her into thinking so. So maybe, like, even though this experience just sucks and there's nothing good to salvage about him, maybe something good that you can salvage is your experience about the way he acted and the way you're acting and responding, and being like, you know what, in the future I'm not gonna let that happen again. I'm not gonna buy shit that someone like him would say, and I am not going to get affected by that anymore. And overall that just sucks, but at the same time, like, Buffy's young. Buffy's really young. It is the thing where, like, I feel like it would be better for her to learn these things. So when I watch this, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense for us to see her learn these things in real time as they're happening, because she's young. She hasn't lived through these experiences yet. She hasn't thought about these things, and we get to see her actually do go through the things that shape her into a person. And something like this is something that definitely would matter. Even though I hate everything about Parker and that relationship or whatever. But anyway, that's interesting about Buffy's character and about everyone's character in this episode, really. That's Shane the most. Let me talk about Anya, because I like Anya. I like how, first of all, Anya's afraid of bunnies. Cute, really cute. But it's cool that she goes to the party and I feel bad for her because I thought that she was gonna feel like they're playing a trick on me or something. But no, she immediately was like, oh, something freaky is happening in this house. Sander needs help. Immediately she was like, Sander needs help. Then she ran to Giles and it was like, Sander needs help. And Giles just said, yeah, but what about the others? She's like, oh yeah, they're probably there and they probably need help too, but whatever, who gives a shit about them? Let's save Sander. That's the only one that matters. I'm like, okay. I like Anya a lot. I really do. So Giles is like, okay, let's work this shit out. And then we get to see, oh, it started raining. We get to see the unlikely duo I never thought I wanted to see, but I did enjoy it, which was Anya and Giles. And I want to see more of it, actually. That sounds like a fun duo. We didn't get to see them a lot because Anya was just mostly concerned about her own thing, and Giles was also mostly concerned about his own thing. It's mostly just Giles reading a book and Anya just vibrating in the background, just like, I gotta see Sander, which is fun, but I would like to see them like talk back and forth a little bit more. But that was great. Giles pulled out a chainsaw and fucking opened a door into a house that didn't have a door, but did have a door 10 minutes ago. That's fun. I wonder if Anya is the right person for Sander. I'm trying to think about it, because what Sander wants is for understanding and intimacy. Like, the more he goes into his life, the more it feels like he's discovering that about himself. And he's insecure that he doesn't fit in. He's insecure that he's not good enough. He's insecure that his friends don't really care about him that much. And in this episode, his greatest fear was to be invisible. Like, he's like, I'm gonna stay right here beside you. And that's interesting, because the reason why he wants to stay right there beside you is because he doesn't want to be invisible. It's not that he wants to help you necessarily. It's not that he wants to save you necessarily. Is because he wants to do good, so you tell him that he's doing good, so that you validate the fact that he's here, which is an inherently selfish desire. It's not something that's bad, by the way. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that his motivation comes from his need to feel like he belongs, rather than the fact that he wants to help out of the good of his heart or whatever. So that's interesting for him. And I'm wondering if Anya is the right fit for him, like, moving forward, because something you notice in this episode is that Sander feels like nobody gives a shit about him. That's his fear. And in fact, that's kind of what happens. Willow and Oz don't give a shit about, they don't talk about Sander at all after they split. Which in some ways it makes sense because they willingly split. But that's like one half of the crew is not giving a shit about him. And then Buffy, Sander is like, I'm gonna stick with you, Buffy. And then Buffy's like, Sander, where are you? And her reaction is not concern or like, oh shit, they got him. Her reaction is, god damn it, he always does this shit. You know, it's immediately antagonistic towards him. Like he's being a failure again. Like, Sander has this issue where he feels like he's not good enough and that his friends don't give a shit about him. And on some level, he's right. Not in like a these are bad people sense, but in a sense that like what he wants out of their friendship, it is kind of unhealthy both ways. Like, he wants them to like accept that he's awesome, let him know that he's loved and wanted. But the relationship with Sander is not so much that, honestly. He's part of the crew and they like him and they want to hang out with him and they trust him. But at the same time, we're not going to spend every waking moment that we have with you, dude. It's like we all live our own lives. We all have our own individual problems. And you kind of want to insert yourself into those problems because you want to feel like you're there for us, because you want us to tell you that you're cool for doing so. And that's just not going to happen because the relationship with Sander is not at that level. And like, that's fine, because if you think about your relationships with people, with your friends or whatever, not every friend you have is a 10 out of 10 friend that you go for everything. Some friends you have, it's like, you know, we hang out like once a week. Sometimes it's like we hang out like once every couple months, especially the more adult you become. But it's one of those things where like, there are people that you consider your friends and there are people that you trust, but that goes on different levels. And I don't think Sander is like the max level for everybody in this crew. I think they like him and they trust him and they can hang out together. But I don't think Sander is at that level where, you know, like, I think Buffy and Willow are better friends than Sander and Willow or Sander and Buffy. And that's interesting because Sander and Willow have been friends since they were kids. I feel like the more the show goes on, the more Buffy and Willow being BFFs like becomes more and more cemented, while Sander's relationship with anyone becomes a little bit murkier yet more interesting, and it's entirely due to like insecurities. And that's not to say that Sander's a bad friend, because there was like a really cool scene at the beginning of the season where he actually encouraged Buffy and he was like, what would Buffy do? You know, like that was a great pep talk and it was a great motivation for Buffy to go and do shit. I really liked that. That was a great Sander scene. And he clearly like cares, but I feel we never get to see Sander being BFFs with people anymore. We see him being friends, we see him hang out, but it's almost like he's trying the entire time. He's feeling like, is it okay for me to be here? Which is interesting. So circling this back to Anya. Anya is someone that actively wants Sander to be there with her. Whenever Sander is not on camera, everybody should be wondering, where is Sander? Said Anya. She always wants to be around Sander. She's obsessed with Sander. And I'm starting to think that, like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I feel, because, like, the further we go, I feel like we're going to have to start defining more what Anya is about and what she learns, and what Sander is about and what he learns. Depending on what direction the show wants to take that, they could be, like, the best couple ever. But also, I think they are both so ignorant and young on some level, because Anya is like a couple centuries old because she's a demon or whatever, or 1,000 years old. Doesn't matter. Anya is like it's a teenager. It's a human teenager. She doesn't understand jack shit and she's learning. Sander is also learning because he's also a teenager, young adult. So I feel like if they are able to understand that Sander is like, you know, I need intimacy and I need to feel like somebody validates me. And then Anya is a constant validation dispenser, but simultaneously she has to realize that she cannot continue to just do that over and over on like a surface level. She needs to like connect on a more intimate level, because that's not only what he desires but what she desires as well. Anya is someone that wants something and she doesn't know how to get it. So now I'm like, I hope that both of these characters grow enough in order for them to understand that about each other, and maybe they could have a potentially healthy relationship where Sander, like, he needs validation, he needs people to tell him, I want you here, and Anya can do that. She can absolutely do that, but Anya is also someone that doesn't understand things a lot. And that is concerning about what could happen in the future, because it could end up with both of them being incredibly unhappy and hurting each other. And in fact, when you're at that age, that is the most likely a scenario. So yeah, I don't know what direction the show is gonna take those characters. I am interested in that, but we'll see. What else do I talk about that? Like, this episode really was mostly just character drama, because like there's the thing about the fear and the haunted house or whatever, and it's like that was really cool, but in terms of like analysis, I don't know what else I can say. I think everything interesting about this episode that you can like talk over and over is mostly just the character drama that I just mentioned, that I just talked about. I really like to see Giles as a mariachi. He's dressed like fucking Ryder in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance when he goes to Mexico. What we needed to hear was this British man speak Spanish. That's what we needed to hear. Sad we didn't get that, but sure. It's cool that at the end of the episode they're all just sitting there at Giles' house eating chocolate. Anya is slowly but surely becoming a part of the gang. I'm very happy about that. I like Anya. I don't know what I could... Oh, I can talk about what like I thought might happen. Because what I was thinking happened was like maybe we were going to get something like the Halloween where everyone turned into their costumes again. You know, because what we see in this episode is the things that are turning real inside the mansion. And I'm sitting here thinking like, well, maybe they are going to turn into their costumes again. They're going to turn real. And it's like, no, it was just the fear. You know, it was just your fear that affects a person rather than the person itself. But if that was the case, like if Oz had written the tag that said God like 2 years ago, what would have happened? Dead ass. What would have happened? Because then you have to start asking higher questions. What is God in the Buffy universe? I mean, first of all, does it apply to the real concept of God? Like, is it an existential constant of like, this is what God is in the reality and that is what Oz turns into? Or is it more like, well, which God does Oz, or Ethan for that matter, believe in? Would it just not work because it is a stronger thing than the power of the god that Ethan conjured? So maybe it just straight up wouldn't work because that god is not allowed to bestow any powers onto a mortal that are greater than its own, like some shit like that. Because now that's the real question. What if Oz had become God? What would it be to be God? Would it just disappear and turn into a form of pure consciousness or something like that? Would it just turn into an old man with a white beard and a robe? Would it just turn into something that covers the entire sky? You know, like an entity that resides in the heavens. Would it be like a Bruce Almighty situation? Like, I don't know what would happen. It would be really concerning, actually, but it would be kind of cool. I would be interested to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer Bruce Almighty episode. That would be fun. So yeah, anyway, that's just food for thought. I just like that one. I think that's it. I don't know what else I can say about this episode. It was mostly just for characters, which I really enjoyed. But that's mostly it. Thank you to the people that let me know that there was going to be spiders in this episode. I deadass forgot, and then while I was watching the episode, I felt it, and I went into the YouTube comments, in the content creator tab on YouTube, you have a thing for comments, and you can just search things, and I just searched the word spider, and I saw someone was just like, hey, by the way, spiders in episode 4 of season 4. And I'm like, gotcha. Thank you. That's going to be it for me, I think. So, yeah. That's it for this episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Hope you liked it. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this episode reaction to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you would like to watch the next 2 episode reactions, both full-length reactions and Angel watch-alongs, you can do so over at the Patreon. Check out the link in the description below. Social media, also the cool stuff that I do. See you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.